Hello folks, my name is Mark. This is Mark's Toy Reviews. How you guys doing? So, I'm not really that big of a fan of wrestling. I mean, I can appreciate it, but it's like, nah, whatever. It's not really my thing, you know? But I do love Masters of the Universe, and Mattel has put out these wrestling He-Man mashup toys called Masters of the WWE Universe, and I think they're pretty awesome. So, my experience with wrestling is very, very limited. I never really was into it. And then, way back in the day, I actually got a job as a game tester for THQ, and I worked on a couple of their wrestling titles. Specifically, I worked on SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, and then also Day of Reckoning 2 for the GameCube, right? So, you know, the reason why those games don't have any bugs in them is because of me. Anyway, yeah. You know, and after that I kind of got an appreciation for it. A lot of the guys that worked there were like really into wrestling, and I was like, okay, I can understand it, you know, but still I'm not really that big of a fan, but I know a little bit about it. And I guess at the time Triple H was like a hero, but I guess he's like a heel wrestler now, because they made Triple H the bad guy in this. So here's Triple H as the Skull King. They've kind of mashed him up with Skeletor. Right, although I think he looks more like Shao Kahn here than actually Skeletor, because he's got this mallet, you know, and that was like Shao Kahn's weapon. So that's kind of cool, you know. And he has this sort of spike armor with like skulls on it. It's pretty badass. And then, like, you know, the helmet that comes off. And it actually looks a lot like Triple H, right? Pretty cool, pretty cool. All the stuff like comes off and everything if you want to like take it off or whatever. And just to kind of show you the articulation here, so normally with a 5.5 He-Man body, the only articulation you had was in your elbows and legs, and then a swivel at the waist, and then your head. This has all of that, but it also has a shoulder swivel, so you can see you can kind of do that, right, which is nice. And then it also has an elbow, and then wrist, and then here you have knees, and then also a twist here, and then also your feet. So, and then the you know, kind of like a pivot thing in your legs there, so you can get like really dynamic poses going, right? Which is like really freaking cool, you know. You can do like all kinds of cool stuff, right, with your poses, and you can do things that like an old school He-Man toy, like there was no way they couldn't like actually like, you know, pose like that. So these have lots of really cool potential for dynamic action scenes and that kind of thing. Right, if I can get him to stand up. Come on, man, stand up. So, there we go. Pretty cool, pretty cool. So now let's take a look at John Cena. I guess he's kind of like the main good guy wrestler nowadays or something, I don't know. Kind of funny John Cena's still around. I mean, shit, he was around back then too. Anyway. And he had mashed him up with He-Man, so he's got like a He-Man shield and axe kind of thing. You know, like I guess they're supposed to be like, you know, mystical or like laser weapons or some shit. And then on his harness, you can see, you know, it says, "Never give up, C-Nation," right, where it shows a picture of him lifting weights. I don't know if that's his thing or whatever. You know, you can't see me. Right. Pretty cool, kind of looks like He-Man. And the thing all about this is all this stuff is removable, so if you wanted to, you could take this off. You know, and part of the thing with these toys is that the parts are swappable, so you can swap his head off, or you could like take his hand out. In fact, I took his hand had an open hand, and I swapped it over there for, you know, fucking Triple H's hands there, see? Because that's like, so that way I could do a thing where like Triple H could hold his weapon with both hands, because it's like a long, you know, staff or whatever, right? And that's really cool. And then here is also another Triple H. So this one and John Cena came in a 2-pack with the wrestling ring that looks like it was like Castle Grayskull. And I don't really care about the wrestling ring, but I did want the figures. And this guy's a pretty standard looking figure, but the cool thing is that he has these terror claws from, if you remember, Terror Claw Skeletor, right, back in the 80s. But you know, the thing is, if you take him off, then he's still a pretty standard wrestling figure. You know, so if you're like into this just for the wrestling, you can take off all the He-Man barbarian shit and still have like a pretty cool articulated 5.5 wrestler that looks really, really detailed and stuff like that. You know, Anyway, but I wanted to get these, you know, I wanted to get the figures. I didn't really care about the wrestling ring so much. So, there go those two guys. Right, let's set him back here. If you could stand up. Stand up for me. And the other three in this series, we got Ultimate Warrior. Right on. So, kind of show him. He looks pretty cool, right? Includes comic. Okay. And on the backs of these cards, it looks kind of like an old school He-Man, like, you know, if you look at these illustrations, they look just like the He-Man illustrations on the back of those cards did, right? Down to like the instructions on the waist swivels and the artwork at the top. Pretty cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this guy, right? Ultimate Warrior's an old school guy, if I remember right. He's like from back in the 80s or something, right? Like, I guess so. I think, yeah, he was like a long time ago, right? I think he's actually dead, like the actual wrestler in real life. Like, I think he died a long time ago. Okay, so let's take him out of there. Ultimate Warrior. He was really, really popular too, if I remember correctly. You know, he was right up there with like Hulk Hogan and stuff. So, yeah, Ultimate Warrior. Looks like he's kind of, they're going for a He-Man thing with this dude too, with the cross thing. He's got like a tattoo. I don't know if he had that in real life underneath there. See that tattoo? Pretty cool, pretty cool. But yeah, the rest of it actually looks really, really good. Really looks just like the Ultimate Warrior. And I like this staff that they gave him. You know, he kind of reminds me of Jungle He-Man. You know, if you remember Ular from Masters of the Universe Classics. That seems to be kind of the thing they're going for him. And let's see, he came with this little booklet. And so, back in the day, the He-Man toys came with comics, right? And it looks like they're not giving us a full comic book, but they're giving us this little booklet that has like a 4-pager comic. Oh, that panel right there. That panel is taken right out of one of the old Masters of the Universe He-Man mini-comics. There's one where like he punches Skeletor and it looks just like that. So, and this one too. That one is taken right out of one of the old comics as well. So that's pretty badass. I really like that homage there. Alright, so let's set him up. And let's see. Let's open another one of these guys. Let's set him. Come on, stand up. Let's see. Just set him on the side. Let's open Finn Balor. Okay, I have no idea who Finn Balor is. He is somebody that, I guess he looks like a bad guy wrestler too. I have no clue who he is, you know. But that looks pretty cool. He's got that sort of like, you know, face paint kind of thing going, right? And highly articulated for power posing, okay. And let's take a look at the back of his card here. Looks like that stuff comes off and he has like whips. It looks like to me that they're kind of meshing him up with like Beast Man or something. Alright, let's open him. Pretty cool. Very nice, I like. Okay. Very nice figure. Pretty cool. Does this thing come? Oh, I guess you can unhook it if you wanted to. Alright, well, I'm not going to unhook it. Yeah, definitely getting a Beast Man vibe from this guy. You know, he looks like a villain to me. I don't know if he actually is like a, you know, face or a heel wrestler. I guess that's what they call them, right? The good wrestlers and the bad wrestlers, they call them faces and heels. Okay, take that guy off of there. And let's unwrap this thing. Okay, these look like tassels. So I'm guessing the tassels go on to his... Let's see here. What are they supposed to look like? It looks like they're tassels that kind of go on to his wrists there. And it's like power armor. Is he a good dude? Oh, it says Heroic Demon King. Okay, so I guess he's one of the good guys. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Alright, so how do these things go on here? Heroic Demon King, huh? I guess demons are not necessarily evil in the WWE Masters of the WWE Universe. Alright, so I'm guessing they're like whips or something. That's kind of like, I don't know. Let's put one on this side too. There we go. Could I fit more than one on here? Probably, yeah. I mean, I'm guessing that they're supposed to put them both on there, right? I mean, I don't know. I really don't know how he's supposed to look, so I'm just going to assume that's his, like, power whip kind of thing going. Alright. Not bad, not bad. Okay, so, yeah, he's a good guy, I would guess. Very interesting, you know? I don't know what Sting's thing is in real life, so I'm sure that probably fits in. Or, sorry, Finn Balor. But anyway, let's look at Sting. Okay, so is Sting a good guy or a bad guy? I don't know. Doesn't really say. But here's his back. He's got that pretty cool artwork. He's got Clawful's claw. Alright. Very nice. And take a look at the front here. Pretty cool. Kind of looks like the Crow. He's got the corpse paint going. Alright. Let's open him up. And pull this thing out. Okay, yep, definitely Clawful's claw. And let's take him off of there. Alright, pretty cool. So let's take a look at this guy here. This is Sting. He's got a scorpion kind of motif going there. Kind of looks like the Crow. Right. Pretty cool, pretty cool. You know, I could get into that. Not bad at all. Let's set him back here for a second. Alright. Let's take a look at his weapons. He's got this clawful kind of claw here. Opens up a little bit. Yeah, I could see that. It kind of opens. I mean, not very far, but that's far enough, I guess. Okay. This goes on, I'm guessing, this hand. Yeah, it just sort of slides right over it. Or wait, is it supposed to go this way? Okay. There we go. Right. Which way does it have it in the comic here? It has this part on the bottom. Okay, so it goes like that. Alright. There we go. Got his sort of clawful kind of claw going. And then this, I'm guessing, are claw chucks or something? Like a scorpion nunchucks? I mean, that's supposed to be a chain right there, right? Like, that looks like a chain to me. I don't know. That's kind of a weird weapon, but, you know. Still looks pretty cool. I mean, I'm not going to complain. Let's see. Can he hold it? Yeah, looks like he can hold it pretty well. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe not. Having a little bit of difficulty getting this to fit into his hand there. But, yeah, there we go. Looks like he can hold it pretty well. It is a little loose in his hand. It feels like it's going to fall out. So, if you're giving this to kids to actually play with, that might be kind of hard. But if you're just displaying it on a shelf like me, then yeah, that'll stay in his hand pretty well. It's a little heavy, you know, so like you can see how his wrist is doing this. It's because it's like too heavy to like stay up by itself. See what I'm saying? But, you know, pretty cool, pretty cool. So, anyway, I'm very happy with these. I think they look great, you know. One cool thing about these is that the parts are interchangeable. Right, you know, I'm just going to take this out of his hand because he doesn't want to stand up with it. But the cool thing with these is that the parts are interchangeable. Right, so for example, this hand, right, on Triple H here is actually the hand that came with John Cena. Right, and they just kind of pop out like that. So you can just sort of like change them around. And the reason why I changed it, right, is because I wanted to give Triple H the ability to hold his staff here with two hands, so I could do like this kind of thing and have him hold it, right? And you know, so you can do like a dynamic pose with it, right? And that was one thing that you could never do with the old Masters of the Universe toys, because they didn't have the right kind of articulation, so I could get like poses like that going. You know what I mean? So that's kind of cool. So you could, you know, conceivably swap these around and swap heads and all this other stuff if you're like an action figure customizer kind of guy, and get like a lot of really cool things going. And the cool thing about these too is that if you're not into the He-Man stuff, then, you know, all of this armor and everything comes off. You can get rid of all that, and then you've got like a pretty neat little 5.5 articulated like wrestler figure if you're just into wrestling. So here I wanted to do a comparison with the old vintage He-Man toys, just so you can kind of see what we're paying homage to here. And I think they fit in really well. They look really cool. You know, if you want to like compare the two, they're roughly the same size. You can definitely see the inspiration with like the super giant muscles and like, you know, just the body proportions and stuff like that. And, you know, He-Man toys they only had this articulation. They only had arms, legs. You know, their legs would bend because they were on a rubber band, and then they could like move at the waist. You know, there's supposed to be a spring, but the spring in my He-Man is broken, and then their heads move, you know. And it's like really cool to see something that is in this scale, but that you can do all the crazy dynamic poses with and stuff, right? And the cool thing is that these bodies, later this year, they're going to release He-Man toys in the stores using these bodies, and that's going to be the coolest thing ever. They already did one for the San Diego Comic-Con last year, where they released a 2-pack He-Man and Prince Adam set. That is like $300 now, and I should have bought it back then. It's too late now. You know, kind of a preview of it. Those are going to be in stores this fall. So that they're kind of testing the water with these toys to see how people react and stuff. And it looks like right now that it's like a seriously major big hit, right? Because these toys are already hard to find. If you go to the Walmart.com, they're already sold out. You know, and they're starting to climb in value like already, and they're even supposedly still in the stores. So if you're into this kind of thing, if you're a collector, if you like wrestling, if you like He-Man, pick them up now because these are definitely going to go up in value. So I noticed they don't have a Hulk Hogan figure, probably because Hulk Hogan like had some controversy a few years ago with the N-word and stuff like that, so that's probably why they're never going to make a Hulk Hogan figure ever again. So that's kind of too bad. But what I do have, I have this knockoff Hulk Hogan figure from the 80s. And this was actually a knockoff of a group of figures from a company called Sun Gold from way back in the day. And somebody knocked them off and they put this Hulk Hogan head on it. So you can kind of see, you know, it's roughly the same size. Like this figure's knees are all bent and he can't stand up straight. But, you know, kind of cool, you know, it's like you can kind of see like how they kind of sort of fit in, kind of almost. I don't know if there are any other 5.5 figures of Hulk Hogan out there, but I always thought that would be kind of funny to kind of compare these two here. So I really like these guys. I really like how they look. I think they turned out awesome. They fit in really well with the old school He-Man or any of the other 5.5 fantasy figure lines. They're going up in value even right now as we speak. So if you're a fan of He-Man, if you're a fan of wrestling, pick them up now before it's too late.